Okay, we're live. We are live. So, hi everyone. Welcome to the GoldFish Report. I'm your host and researcher, Louisa. Today is Saturday night, August 8th, 2020. That's 0808, or 0808 2020. I don't know. It's kind of interesting day. This is GoldFish Report number 542. It is our 183rd POTUS report. It's week 183, that is. So I hope everyone's doing well tonight. We were without power for like 4 or 5 days up in the Northeast, and it's been pretty difficult. So I'm just saying hello to everybody and welcome. So, yeah, I finally got it back. I was really mad. I was really, really mad. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me. There's a lot to talk about with the president this week, folks. There's a lot to talk about. I'm not going to rant or anything about how frustrating it was to not, to be without power for 4 days for a storm, a tropical storm. I'll tell you, it just seemed like they really wanted us to suffer. So, whatever. I I get frustrated because all your food spoils, and when you have like extra freezers because you're trying to stock up on sales and things like that, you know, it's all loss, and it's just you just get tired of it. You get tired of trying to get ahead, and then something comes up, the COVID, and there was you had to stock up in the stores, and then the power's out, and you have to get lights and generators and all, and yeah, it happens, but some people can weather those things better than others, and it was tough. I'm not going to kid you. Weathering this was rough this time. So especially when you have kids. So anybody, we have a lot to talk about. So anyway, we have a lot to talk about. Let's start with the news that we're going to get to all the quotes from the president this week in his news conferences because there's some real gems in these stories. But we're going to start with some. Okay, president has signed 9 pieces of legislation addressing human trafficking. This week, the administration announced more than $35 million in grants to ensure human trafficking survivors have safe, stable housing and counseling services. I'm sorry. I also wanted to welcome all of our viewers who are watching and all of our listeners on Ascension Radio. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention Ascension Radio. You're listening in on Ascension Radio. Welcome. Thanks for joining me tonight. And thanks to Ascension Radio for simulcasting this POTUS report. So I apologize that I forgot to mention that, but it's been a rough time for me, and I'm not kidding. And I'm trying to keep my spirits up as best as I can, um, because it's real tough when you come across some of the things that I see regarding this human trafficking. It just breaks your heart, and it's hard to really sit here and complain about such trivial things. And it's not trivial, but it is trivial, right? It's trivial, uh, but when you're a child and you know, the world around you has failed you, there's no greater hardship, or there's nothing that compares to that, nothing. So it's hard for me, and I see this. I see a lot of videos. I get reports about things I can't even show on air. Maybe at some point I will, but yeah, it's tough to watch this stuff. It breaks my heart, and it gets me angry. It gets me really angry too. It's like it's one of those things where it's just like, okay, all right. Before I really get into this, let me just make this comment. These people who are doing these protests, right? They're a little wacky, right? They're defund the police and all this other crazy stuff. I've been talking to my, friend who does the reverse speech analysis, who I cite her work on my reports, and I repost her work, which is very critical. I think she's finding interesting information. She's talking about this transhumanist agenda. She's talking about this Neuralink. Okay. Now, yes, we know Austin Steinbart talked about Neuralink and he's in favor of it. And I was really against it, thinking this is hijacking our free will. And not only if it doesn't, it can. And who do you trust with that kind of information? But I'm starting to think like people, and I even said this to Tiffany, who is Tiffany Fontenot, who does the reverse speech analysis. She's I said, well, you know what? Maybe it's not such a bad idea, Maybe all of these people who really have lost their mind, it looks like, right? Can somehow become, just get those little implants that Elon Musk is talking about and have them hooked up to, Neuralink on a satellite or something, and maybe they can become useful idiots rather than just idiots. Because I think there is a place for this. I don't think it's for everybody, but I think there's some really lost people. There's people who are fact resistant. There's people who, um, and I'm even going to show you in one of these clips, the president, he's such a champion, this man. It's amazing how he comes back so quick with things. And I'm going to show it because that's the only way, you have to respond to these fake news reporters with facts and to show them that they can't spew propaganda anymore because everybody's noticing it. So I do think that there is a place for, this is kind of contrary to how but listen to the argument, what my position has been. But I truly think that not everybody has equal rights, but not everybody, invests in life in an equal manner. A lot of people are not willing to fight for this country. A lot of people are not willing to fight for our freedom and realize that it is not free, that we have to stand up to the tyranny. We have to stand up to this Marxist infiltration of our country. But people, don't get it. And I think maybe Neuralink might be a good solution to people who are pretty much, I don't know. I mean, what's their soul doing, here? Like, are they just tourists on this planet? It's kind of like, so I don't want to go into this anymore. I just think that I have changed my mind. I have decided that I think that there probably is a good purpose for some of these people who seem to be brain dead, like alive, but they seem to be brain dead at the same time. Hi, everybody. Thanks. I'm checking in with my live chat. How's everybody doing tonight? It's Saturday night, date night with the GoldFish Report. Hi, Careful Carpenter. Nice to see you. Yeah. So I'm starting to think that it's not a bad idea to have some people hooked up to these Neuralinks because they're pretty brain dead, quite honestly. So let's talk about let's first talk about this trafficking issue, okay? Let's talk about this first. I'm going to screen share something here from the administration. I'm sorry. So that was 9 minutes. So I'm sorry, everybody, but I just had to, I don't know. It just occurred to me that all these crazy people who are, dishing out this propaganda, fake news, and all these crazy people who are, these, I don't know, libtards, right? Who don't seem to have any critical thinking skills. It might be an enhancement for them. Really, it might be an enhancement. Having Neuralink, having these implants in their brains might actually be an enhancement for those people. So I'm not exactly against it completely, as long as I know it won't be forced on me. That I don't know. So I'm not all the way in on this. But let's take a look at this clip right here regarding the child trafficking, what the administration's been doing and what they've been doing just this week.
Meeting with human trafficking victims. She spotlighted the issue alongside Governor Kemp and his wife Marty. 11 Alive's Doug Richards has more on what they heard.
She kept the introductions informal. The president's daughter, Ivanka Trump, had handshakes and smiles for victims of human trafficking at Northwest Atlanta's City of Refuge, and an ear for their harrowing stories.
I was molested by a family member from the time I was 5 till I was 10 years old. And so by the time I was 11, I became an alcoholic. And by the time I was 13, I became a drug addict.
The stories described an underworld Governor Brian Kemp admitted was unfamiliar to him until he and First Lady Marty Kemp made a cause of abolishing human trafficking, mimicking a similar effort at the White House.
So we are working with bipartisan members of Congress, that can occasionally happen, to join forces and address this issue with all of the levers that are available to us.
Ms. Trump and the governor and First Lady heard sometimes halting stories, some from women who said they didn't even realize they were victims of abuse.
I became a stripper at 18, and then by the time I was 19 years old, I was working in a massage parlor for my best friend's mom, and she sold me for the first time for sex. And so for me, that was my normal. I didn't know any different. I didn't know any better.
I was beaten for 10 years. Had to have sex to survive.
Gotta give you a hug.
The embrace was both personal and political, for an issue advocates say has been overlooked for too long.
As part of the efforts to combat human trafficking here in Georgia, the governor and his wife announced a plan this week to train state workers and to identify signs as well. 78,000 workers in all will undergo that training. The National Human Trafficking Hotline says it was contacted about hundreds of cases here in Georgia in 2018.
So this is a big issue, folks. We've reported on this before at the GoldFish Report, and I do have some other video that I want to share with you. It's difficult, but I believe this was the port in, I believe that this was the port in Beirut that was hit. Let's take a look at this and see what we can figure out. We can make sense out of this. It could be disturbing to some people, so I just want to warn you in advance. These are trucks that are commonly used for trafficking children. We're going to see a series of this. This guy's channel is pretty good. It's an oil tanker truck, rather.
Mission. ابو قامه بشینو نه بشین بیا بیرون بشین آشخانم بیا بیرون.
This is hard stuff, folks. This is hard to look at. This is hard to share. And they're talking about these trucks and the symbols on them being these types of trucks and tanker trucks that are used for children, trafficking children. Saddest thing, man. This is not good. There's some more that I have. Let me just stop sharing for a second because I have. There's more of this. You should go to the GoldFish Report Twitter page and you'll see more stories, more about this child trafficking. And here is a bust. These are two sisters that are apparently caught selling their children and having children to sell to pedophiles. Let's listen to this.
I am in the opposite room, waiting alongside everybody else, and I feel physically sick for these kids. You know, that this will be the day that they remember for the rest of their lives.
2 tries. Okay.
They're getting rescued.
All right, thanks, man.
Okay. I just want to talk from here, not near them. So could you tell me which ones I can do what with?
Remember, we talk about remember.
Yeah. She can do what? She can okay.
She can do
Okay, that's okay. Okay, so how much for sex?
Are we going to let them hear?
They can stay here. Oh, she's a sweet girl.
Who wants me to get her own money?
Come on, Spirit, put her rest.
The sisters look stunned as charges are read out. HSI have been waiting 2 years to bust them, but no one is celebrating.
You know, it's emotionally draining. Once they put me in handcuffs, my role is done at that point, and that whole other part kind of takes over. Basically, the kids.
13 children.
Yep. And it's sick how common this is. It's sick how many people, are involved in this. And oh boy, it's tough, I'll tell you. So there's more on the child trafficking, and I'll get to more of that as we get along there. It's buffering. This is of course it's infuriating. It's outrageous. We can't fail these children anymore. We can't do that. The president, again, as I recapped earlier, signed 9 pieces of legislation addressing human trafficking. And this week, the administration announced more than $35 million in grants to ensure human trafficking survivors have safe, stable housing and counseling services. So that's really important. I wanted to highlight that the administration, as everybody knows, we saw the executive orders when the first year the president was in office regarding human trafficking. This was a big issue, and that he tweeted about this too. The problem, is that there are people that are sick like this. I mean, could you imagine using Neuralink, right? Imagine using Neuralink on pedophiles to rewire their brain so that they're not, attracted to children anymore. I mean, that's, I think there could be a good use for this now that I'm thinking about it. Like these low-life scumbags like this who abuse children, traffic children, they have either, no soul or no conscience, or I don't know. But I think they could definitely use an implant. And, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Semper Fi. Nice to see you, Mark. What do you guys think? Tell me what you think in the live chat, if you don't mind. I'd like to know. Right. Well, I'm not sure we can just kill the pedophiles, but do you think we should use Neuralink to implant? Do you think they should get brain implants so that this area of their life can be, or their, I don't know, maybe they can be rewired so that they're not attracted to children? What do you think? They need to be put to sleep. Yeah. I have more mercy than you guys. Actually, I whatever. I don't know. I think I am being I'm being a little bit what should I say? Diplomatic about it. But yeah, 440 volts should do it. Priests, oh man, the ones we trust the most, right? But these were parents. I mean, these were their parents, their mothers. How dare those mothers? It's such a sacred act to have a child, and to just sell them that way. I'll tell you, I don't know. Okay, guys, so let's keep moving along. Lots of great stuff to talk about with the president this week. He's extremely busy. A lot of stuff going on. And what do we have here? Lo and behold, what do we have here at the White House? What do you notice? Anybody notice anything unusual? I bet you do. All the windows are covered in green. Isn't that a GreenCastle? It sure is. And what does Q say about GreenCastle? Well, let's just pull that right up, and I'll show you what Q says. Right? GreenCastle, red castle per original plan, dark to light. Placeholders active. Right? Sky is falling, push to public. This is all about GreenCastle, red castle. So we know red castle was the Army Corps of Engineer. GreenCastle, well, we know that the castle, Dan Scavino refers to the White House as the castle. The GreenCastle, that just must be, referring to the White House, and that must be the signal. That's a good, everybody agrees on social media. I should say everybody on social media agrees this is a go signal. And why would we think that, though? And I'll tell you why we would think that. Let's take a look at what the president said earlier this week. And this is why you can, I want to make sure it's going to screen share for everybody here. This is why we would think that this is a go signal. Check this out, in case you missed it.
Well, the rebate that I'm doing cuts out the middlemen and reduces costs, and the money goes back to the people. Drugs. So I have a lot of enemies out there. This may be the last time you'll see me for a while. A lot of very, very rich enemies, but they are not happy with what I'm doing. But I figure we have one chance to do it, and no other president's going to do what Well, the rebate that I'm doing cuts out the middlemen and reduces costs, and the money goes back to the people purchasing the drugs. So I have a lot of enemies out there. This may be the last time you'll see me for a while. A lot of very, very rich enemies, but they are not happy with what I'm doing. But I figure we have one chance to do it, and no other president's going to do what
Exactly. So what did the president mean when he said, this may be the last time you might see me for a while? So there are signals. The president does kind of drop signals in some of his communications. And one of them is, let's take a look at this. This is from another anon on Twitter. Let's take a look at this. What do we see? 17 boxes, folks. 17 boxes. And what we also saw was that's where the president gave that speech. Also, half of them have flags and the other half don't, which was interesting. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 had, looks like 8 had flags on them. But we also see a lot of traffic, air traffic, in terms of military airplanes. So 17 boxes were behind him at the Whirlpool factory. President says, this may be the last time you'll see me for a while. Also, General Charles Q. Brown was sworn in as Air Force Chief this week as well. 6 odd explosions in 24 hours. Military aircraft fills U.S. skies. I think the storm is here, folks. And let me also show you another video that I had marked here. Where'd it go? I have so many of them marked. It's not even funny. Oh my God. Terrible, terrible things there with human trafficking. But hold on a second. Let me just pull up something else I wanted to show you. We were behind all week. We were behind on getting our press releases out because I had no power for 4 days in the Northeast here. So that was quite a bummer. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to keep up on everything. What was I just looking for? Okay. Bear with me for just a minute because I have some. Yeah, I have another video I want to share with you. I have several of them. There's so much going on. Well, let's do this. Just bear with me for 1 second here. We have so much support for the president on my Twitter page, all these different, well, let's just listen to this. Let's finish off the human trafficking issue with this guy who works for the shipping container company. Let's hear what he has to say.
One of the most overlooked aspects of human trafficking is the method of transportation. How are they moving these people all around the world? I believe it's through container ships. I'm currently standing on a container ship with roughly 10,000 containers. Maybe 5 to 10% of the cargo that comes in and out of the United States is scanned, x-rayed, and looked at by CBP. Any one of these containers you see on this ship could have about 75 people in it. We know, I've talked to CBP agents before, they have found containers with advanced life support systems, food and supplies for these people to live in these containers for a substantial amount of time while they move from port to port. I believe it's a huge problem. I honestly believe, I have seen with my own eyes, I have seen families, I have seen children, we've seen stowaways, and it really makes you wonder, is this how they're moving along? Right here. One of the most overlooked aspects of human trafficking.
There's one more story, there's one more clip on this, but it's not the only one. Here's another one called Project Pelican, the Pelican Club, offering highly customizable quad-pack cruise missile launch systems. The Club K offers nuclear, bio, and chemical options. This was one of the issues that you might remember Q talking about regarding the port of Long Beach, rather, in California, and that there were reports that there was dealing of not just human trafficking, but also nuclear missiles coming in through our ports. So how do you like that, folks? How do you like that? Okay, here it is. Here is, I think I had several of them that I wanted to show you. Yeah. All right, I'll just play this one right here because I wanted to show you what happened in Beirut. I have an interesting video. So let's first look at this one.
They know that there's a labyrinth of subterranean chambers here. They've discovered the opening of just one of them. And if you come a bit closer, you can see the top of what looks like the ceiling of one. And that's what is keeping the hopes of relatives alive, that somehow their loved ones have made it to that shelter.
So some are saying that there was a massive amount of underground tunnels that were being used at the ports. Of course, if you're trafficking children, you're going to bring container ships in, and so you need to bring it into a port. So there is some reports and speculation that perhaps this had something to do with, port tunnels equals human trafficking. Where the explosion happened in Beirut, there was apparently a labyrinth of subterranean chambers beneath the warehouse. Why? At sea level? What would they need to be doing that for? So very interesting, folks. Very, very interesting. I also want to let you know that, oh my God, you're going to love this. You're going to love this when President Trump was at Bedminster yesterday, in Bedminster, and he held a news conference yesterday, and the reporter was trying to give him a hard time about following New Jersey rules of social distancing. You just have to listen to this. You're just going to love this.
$1 a week.
I won't say that yet. You'll see that when it happens, but we have the money.
Will you say what number?
We have it, Justin. We have plenty of money. Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. You said that the pandemic is disappearing, but we lost 6,000 Americans this week. And just in this room, you have dozens of people who are not following the guidelines in New Jersey, which say you should not have more.
No, they don't have. It's a political activity. You're wrong on that because it's a political activity. They have exceptions, political activity, and it's also a peaceful protest. So when you have, and as you know, they asked if they could be, a number of, and for me, they look like they pretty much all have masks on, but you have an exclusion in the law. It says peaceful protest or political activity, right? In fact, specifically, it says exactly.
$1 a week.
I won't say that yet. You'll see that when it happens. But
how do you like that, folks? How do you like that? See, the Democrats don't like it one bit when you use their own tactics against them, right? So let's keep taking a look here. I think this is if you're in Georgia, by any chance, I think this would be a really great person to look into and throw some support behind. Her name's Marjorie Taylor Greene for Congress. She's a Trump supporter. She's a conservative, and we are only going to change what's happening in Washington, folks, by getting better people in who are willing to run and do the hard work. So check out our Twitter page, or go to her Twitter page and check it out. She's pro-God, pro-life, pro-gun, and pro-Donald Trump. So I think you can't really go too wrong with that. I wanted to also show you this picture here. Pretty disgusting. This is dermatitis from mask wearing. So you're getting infections in the face and the skin from long-term mask wearing. Some people are contracting lung infections because they're working all the time. And they're forced to wear masks. And I just want to say that I'm so tired of this. I'll tell you that my kids are stressed out from it. They want to get back to normal. They've been through disheveled, in like the whole distance learning thing has been a joke. They don't get to see their friends and socialize. The younger ones really need this for their social development. Peer development is very important, at certain stages. And these kids have to get back to school, but the instructions that I had gotten were like so complicated. So kids have to be, if you're suspected, or if you're suspected to have COVID, you're going to be quarantined in a room with frosted windows. I mean, you're going to be treated like a criminal. I mean, these kids, this is ridiculous. And they gave the kids the option to do hybrid learning or to do all distance learning, which is online. And the problem with that is, why bother doing hybrid learning when you're just going to bring, there's going to be an explosion of COVID as soon as kids get back to school. It. So it's like, why are people going to send their kids back when they have to wear the masks, because we're not supposed to be quarantining healthy people. So, and we already know that masks don't stop the virus from spreading. So, look, folks, we just have to grow a pair, and we have to stand up to this and stop letting them be, tyrants and ruling over us. And let me just say that this whole thing with the COVID, I just want you to think about for a minute that this is really, it's been an experiment. It's really been a huge social experiment, really, on many levels. But let's just take a look at it with, let's just take a look at it. Now, don't promote products in this live chat, folks. You'll be deleted. The Stanford prison study, which I talked about, my background's in psychology. One of the areas of my background is psychology. And the Stanley Milgram study was very well known. It was well known because it showed how obedient people are to figures of authority, right? Even if they felt they were inflicting pain on somebody else, their obedience to authority, their blind obedience to some authority figure, still outranked their conscience, their conscience, not just subconscious, their conscience over, whether to turn up the electricity on the person in the other room, when in fact the person in the other room was never experiencing any pain, but they were acting. But the whole study was the whole purpose of the study was to understand obedience, blind obedience. So here we have all of us, right? We're the sheep. We're all the people in this experience, right? In this experiment and experience. But the other study, the other experiment, the other, I would say, factor, that's involved in this whole COVID scamdemic is also related to the Stanford prison study, which I've also talked about, and that had to do with the power of the social situation. Now, what's been interesting is that these governors of these liberal states, all the governors, none of them were given specific instructions to do anything in particular. And what's very interesting, folks, is to see which governors of which states, what did they do on their own? How far did they go? If left unchecked, this is exactly what the Stanford prison study showed. That these people who were normally good people, these were all, college age students, right? From decent backgrounds. But when they took on that role of prison guard, they became abusive, authoritative. And when the other ones took on the role of inmate, they really started to feel this subjugation. They started to really have major stress response of being subjugated to imprisonment and perhaps what's considered maybe even mental abuse. And of course, they had to stop that study very early because of the result of the abuse of the kids. And what they found was even the students who were assigned the role as prison guard, they just said, it's a part of myself I never knew existed. It's just a part. I didn't know I could, be that mean. I didn't know I could be that way. So what's very interesting is to see, right, when you give somebody power who clearly can't handle the responsibility of power, right? What happens to that? And they will. What has happened across all 50 states? We have conservative states that are not enforcing mandatory mask wearing, and that are not enforcing these draconian measures, right? And look at Governor Cuomo. Governor Cuomo said that if you're from one of the high-risk states, and isn't New York the highest, or in New Jersey the highest risk state there is? So Cuomo is saying, if you're coming to visit New York and you're from one of these high-risk states, you're going to have to quarantine for 14 days. You're going to have to call. And New Jersey's doing the same thing. So this is like what the Stanford prison study showed. It's like the government's not telling Governor Cuomo he has to do this. The government's not telling Governor Murphy he has to be a ruthless, tyrannical dictator. They're doing it on their own. Voila. So it's very, very important. You see, it's very important. And Governor Cuomo, nobody told Governor Cuomo what to do. Nobody told him he had to become a Marxist dictator of New York and of course de Blasio, New York City. Isn't it time this experiment is over with and we go back to normal? No, these people did it all on their own. They took it. And is this a part of human nature? Is this separating the wheat from the chaff? Is that what this is about? It was very revealing to see which states took the most draconian measures on their own, which governors took it upon themselves, right, to be as draconian as possible. Because we've had how many health professionals come out in public on YouTube, right? Even, I don't know, I think social media is the only place they're going to talk. And how many have come out and said that wearing a mask, healthy people wearing a mask is unhealthy. It's stopping you from building up your immune system. It's stopping you from having normal exposure to bacteria and viruses that your body would build up a normal immunity for. That sounds very reasonable. So people who are sick, keep them sick, just like the flu. Keep them, keep them quarantined, or at least, but we all know taking hydroxychloroquine is going to not only be preventative, but it's also the cure, which is what these doctors are saying. And it's very clear to me that President Trump has this already in the works to make this available over the counter. So let's keep moving along, because there's so much to talk about. This election has never been more important, folks. And we have, excuse me. Sorry about that. Let's go to well, we're going to talk a little bit about support our president is getting, and I think that's important because it's going to lead into, you know, here you have Jerry Nadler saying, you know, that it's a myth that, you know, the violence and everything in these protests, that they're just peaceful protests. He's saying that it's just a myth. But here's the video, right? But they're not showing this. Well, here Fox is showing it actually, because you can see that. But not many people are showing this, right? Here we have something funny that Dan Scavino published. Let's watch what Dan has published here.
What is one of the biggest problems facing us in the next month? Schools. Opening up the schools safely. If you don't open up the schools, you're going to hurt the economy significantly because lots of people can't go to work. Because this is not abstract. This is not government.
Today I offered to them, we'll take down $1 trillion if you add $1 trillion in. They said absolutely not. If we could do that, if we take down $1 trillion and they add $1 trillion, we'll be within range. We'll be within range.
What is one of the biggest problems facing us in the next month?
I'll tell you, it just doesn't, you know, it doesn't get any better for the Democrats, does it? Let's take another look at the situation with the Democrats. Here's some more Trump boat parades. Want to take a look at that? See that? I'll show that if I have more time, but let's look at this here. This is very interesting.
Academic scholarship, New Hampshire. I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. Went back to law school and in fact ended up in the top half of my class. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only needed 123 credits.
Biden now concedes he did not graduate in the top half of his law school class, that he does not have 3 degrees from college, and that he was not named outstanding political science student in college.
Newsweek says Biden actually went to school on a half scholarship, ended up near the bottom of his class, and won only 1 degree, not 3.
Joe Biden ranked 76th in a class of 85 at the University of Syracuse Law School. I mean, this guy comes off this whole thing as a flyweight.
So it looks like Sleepy Joe was also Lion Joe. So let's just listen to a little bit more.
Democratic presidential candidate Joseph Biden today faces a controversy. 3 weeks ago at a debate at the Iowa State Fair, he used phrases identical to those delivered by British Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock.
Biden seemed to be claiming Kinnock's vision and life as his own.
Why is it that my wife is sitting out there in the audience, is the first in her family to ever go to college?
Why is Gladys the first woman in her family in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
My ancestors who worked in the coal mines in northeast Pennsylvania don't come up after 12 hours and play football.
8 hours underground and then come up and play football.
It's because they didn't have a platform upon which to stand.
There was no platform upon which they could stand.
The notion that every thought or notion or idea you'd have to go back and find and attribute to someone, I think is, quite frankly, ludicrous.
The problem here is that Senator Biden told his audience he'd just been thinking about these things, and he failed to give any credit at all to his famous British
Democratic president.
Yep. And let's see. I think we have a little bit more on Sleepy Joe, Lion Joe here. Let's see what else we've got here.
Plagiarism when he was in law school. He admitted today that he committed plagiarism when he was in law school. He said it was a mistake, but that it was unintentional.
He quoted 5 pages of someone else's work without proper citation.
I've done some dumb things, and I'll do dumb things again.
He was given an F.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been dumb.
Biden admitted today that he committed plagiarism when he was in law school. He said,
okay, he did some dumb things and he's going to do some more dumb things. And I think, you know, He is certainly not going to become president knowing that he's done all these dumb things, right? So here he is in his own words. He's committed plagiarism. He's lied about his college. He has plagiarized and stolen other people's ideas and speeches. So I think it's pretty clear that he doesn't have a chance in hell of becoming president of the United States. I think you all agree. But and to that, I have this one meme that I'm going to share because I really want to get to, oh my God, reporting more of the news. We have this nice little GIF here from the, it's obviously not the president actually holding that up. I don't think it is, but we've got a lot of great stuff here on the GoldFish Report Twitter page. A lot of great support for the president, and you really need to come and check it out. These are people who Andy Ngo was reporting out of Portland. These were people 20 years old charged with felony assault of an officer, resisting arrest, and more, and a 19-year-old charged with disorderly conduct and more. These were Portland Antifa members, and these are the ones that probably could use that Neuralink implant because they don't know how they simply just don't know how to use a brain at all. And so it might be a good thing, actually. Folks, there's a lot of other reports here. Look, Germany 1933 and now Portland 2020. Where have we seen this before, folks? So we all know, I wanted to just, look at this little girl. This is how they do it in the South, right? They train them right. But it's very common in the South. Look at all the flotillas. Look at all of the parades, the Trump boat parades. People are trying to give support to our president and show support. Here's more dermatitis, infections of the skin from wearing masks. Terrible. And this is terrible. This is a young girl pregnant. Can't be more than 10, 11 years old. This is terrible. There is a translation. You can click on that translation for that if you need to. Again, things are, I think we're in a go phase right now, folks. I think we're getting ready, and look at our beautiful Kayleigh McEnany with her beautiful little baby girl. And I do have to show her because she's just a beautiful mom and her baby's so beautiful. And it's just lovely to see her, such an amazing person, doing such a great job with her little baby. And I totally support her 100,000%. There was a video here that I wanted to share with you, and I wanted your reaction from it. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, Ghislaine Maxwell, or Ghislaine, whatever her name is. Nude photos and sexualized video is from the secret jury. This is she's trying to fight to keep that out. That's not probably going to happen. So these people are saying that the president is protected, that operations are being conducted, and we are in the process. We know that the military and the police have cracked down on what's been going on over in Portland and so forth. Here's the video I wanted to share regarding Lebanon this week. Let me know what you think. I cannot independently verify this, but it certainly is worth. This says, see, it's saying it's manipulated, but we don't know that. Let's give a listen. Let's watch this. Why the video is inverted, but I'm going to play this again. And I know that the listeners on Ascension Radio can't see this, but it's showing a missile hitting the port. Watch again. Again, I cannot independently verify this, but it's possible that it is authentic. I just think it is worth showing and letting people vet this. if they can. Whoa. You know, the timing of it is absolutely perfect. If it was a missile, it, see that? It blows up just like any other missile would, right? Let me know what you think, folks. We're going to get back to our POTUS report. I've been trying to explain a little bit about what the president's been doing. You definitely can see this coming down. Twitter's already marked it as manipulated media. Well, we don't really know that for sure, but let's just move along, okay? Because what we have to talk about, we have a little bit more to talk about tonight with the president. We already talked about the fact that they're doing an overhaul of Yosemite and Yellowstone. Look, God knows this Yellowstone. I don't know what you can really do with that because it's, I don't know. There's a lot of tectonic action going on lately, so it's interesting. So, but there is, the president's also working hard to save our health care, of course. The president signed an executive order last night expanding access to telehealth service for millions of Americans, especially those living in rural communities. Trump administration has cut red tape, allowing telehealth services for seniors and for other Americans. 35% of Medicare beneficiaries took advantage of the president's reform. And I do believe that this includes pre-existing conditions, which is something you would never find the Democrats approving. Here we have, see, Democrats seek to deny Americans their healthcare freedom. Because you only have to realize it's not the party of JFK anymore. It's the party of Marxist socialists, okay? So that's why they're going to do that, okay? We worked with the leaders of major health insurance companies to ensure coverage for the telehealth visits related to coronavirus. We cut red tape to allow many services to be conducted by phone rather than video, which is much simpler, providing a much easier option for many seniors in particular. We allocated $165 million through the CARES Act to support nearly 1,800 small rural hospitals who have done an incredible job, as well as $11.5 million to expand technical assistance for rural and underserved areas. Excuse me. Here's the president signing the Great American Outdoors Act there. Let's move up. I'm not going to screen share the transcripts. As you know, if you want to read the transcripts of the press conferences, you can come and check that out. This is very interesting. This one in particular is the swearing in of General Charles Brown as Chief of Staff of the Air Force. They call him Charles Q. He says, so the president says, this is very special. Charles Q. I like that. Q, he says. Brown Jr., and your family's very proud of you. And he's going on to talk about why he was, sworn in, and lots of other things in this transcript. You can come and take a look at it. Here's another transcript. We're going to go past the transcript since we don't have a lot of time. This was the president's press briefing on the 4th. And like I said, we've had to, cram in a lot of we're not going to go into as much detail of all these press releases because we're trying to get it into an hour, and we know we're not going to get into an hour, but I was out all week. I couldn't do a midweek POTUS report. So, I wasn't able to to break it up. We had no power. So here we go. Okay. So we have the governor also meeting with Governor Ducey of Arizona, and they're talking about COVID, and they're talking about basically COVID. Okay, that was their talk. And there's photo of the day meeting with the governor in the Oval Office. I mean, with the president, the governor and the president meeting in the Oval Office, I should say. So there we go. President Trump signs the historic conservation law, which we talked about. And so this is really wonderful regarding having the cleanest air and water on Earth. And so the president is committed to that. And I hope he realizes that the pipelines aren't, if pipelines are going to run through areas of natural water, then, he came up against that already during Standing Rock. So I think he learned his lesson not to mess with not to compete with, corporate interests over basic rights of basic water rights for human beings, particularly Native Americans there. Okay, so if you want to read more about coronavirus and what's going on, please come here and take a look at it. But my goodness, there's a lot on here about this. So press briefing, right, 1600, I think I already... Okay, president approved Connecticut emergency order. Okay, I see. Sorry, hold on a second. Okay, so there were 3 nominations sent to the Senate. We have Charles Cook of Mississippi for the Tennessee Valley Housing Authority. And we also have Michael Finkel of New Jersey to be the director of the Securities Investor Protection Corporation, and Jonathan Moak of Virginia for Assistant Secretary of the Army. Okay, what else do we have here? Okay, executive order on addressing the threat posed by TikTok, which you want to come and check this out. This is China. This is where they're spying and infiltrating. So he says that People's Republic of China, PPC, continues to threaten the national security, foreign policy, and economy of the United States. At this time, action must be taken to address the threat posed by one mobile application, in particular TikTok. Okay, has reportedly downloaded over 175 million times in the United States and over 1 billion times globally. TikTok automatically captures vast swaths of information from its users, including internet and other network activity information, such as location data and browsing and search histories. This data collection threatens to allow the Chinese Communist Party access to Americans' personal and proprietary information. Oh, but the NSA can have access to it, right? Oh my God. Okay, potentially allowing China to track the locations of federal employees and contractors. Now, that would be definitely a security risk. So there's more on this. TikTok also reportedly censors content that the Chinese Communist Party deems politically sensitive, such as content concerning protests in Hong Kong and China's treatment of Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities. Right. They take them to Falun Gong. They put them into these camps, and they kill them for their organs. So they do organ harvesting from them. This mobile application may also be used for disinformation campaigns that benefit the Chinese Communist Party. Okay, such as when TikTok videos spread debunked conspiracy theories about the origins of the 2019 novel coronavirus. So this is interesting, and we have another one as well that I'm going to talk about. And of course, here is the letter to the Speaker of the House and the President of the Senate on addressing the threat for every executive order. And this is also published in the how can I forget the name of this? It's also published in the Federal Register. Thank you. Okay. And then here's another one. Here's another executive order, folks, addressing the threat posed by WeChat. Okay. Same thing. This also has to do with same kind of threat posed by TikTok, taking additional steps to address the national emergency. Okay, with this communications technology, WeChat, a messaging, social media, and electronic payment application owned by the Chinese company Tencent Holdings, reportedly has over 1 billion users worldwide, including users in the United States. Like TikTok, WeChat automatically captures vast swaths of information from its users. This data collection threatens to allow the Chinese Communist Party access to Americans' personal and proprietary information. In addition, the application captures the personal and proprietary information of Chinese nationals visiting the United States, thereby allowing the Chinese Communist Party a mechanism for keeping tabs on Chinese citizens who may be enjoying the benefits of a free society for the first time in their lives. Okay, so just so you know, this is what's going on with the president. You know, I put out a report recently calling, actually it was the our political theater, which you can only find on BitChute, called "China is the Invisible Enemy." And I believe that that is exactly what the president is referring to, not just the virus. I do believe that with these executive orders, you can clearly see that the president is taking, hard measures with China on, and of course, the closing of the Houston consulate, embassy rather, the Chinese embassy in Houston. It's the president knows what's going on. He knows there's espionage going on, and only that, but they're trying to influence key, not just politicians, but head CEOs of corporations and things like that. This is called, folks, infiltration instead of invasion. Okay. This is called infiltration instead of invasion. So I needed to come back real quick for my live chat just to see how everybody's doing. Elite GoldFish Report listeners, how's everybody doing so far in the live chat? I know I've been going for a while. Yeah. How's everybody doing? Is everyone doing well? Okay, let's keep going, because China, I think the president is referring to China. Now, he can't come out and declare war against China. Thank you, guys. Thank you for responding. Let's keep going, because we've got a lot to talk about. And of course, there's a letter to the Speaker of the House and to the President of the Senate regarding this, of course, published in the Federal Register, rather. President also had a message on National Purple Heart Day, and it was very, very nice. And the president doesn't miss a beat. Let me tell you, this office is so busy, it's unbelievable. General George Washington established the Purple Heart, then known as the Badge of Military Merit, 238 years ago today. That was on August 7th. That was yesterday. The Purple Heart is reserved for military service members wounded or killed in action. On this day, we pay tribute to these men and women who have suffered and sacrificed so much for our nation. The Purple Heart Medal, in its present form, bears the profile of General Washington, an American hero of unparalleled stature in our history. George Washington not only inaugurated this award, but he exemplified the uncommon courage, valor, and devotion to our nation showed by all who receive it. As we commemorate the establishment of one of our nation's highest honors, we also reaffirm our support and admiration for the remarkable heroes of America's armed forces. Each day, these men and women safeguard peace and prosperity at home and abroad and protect our unique American way of life. Our nation is forever indebted to these valiant warriors for their service and sacrifice. The First Lady and I join a grateful nation in paying tribute to Purple Heart recipients, their loved ones, and our Gold Star families. As one nation, we pray for the safety of our country's men and women in uniform, both past and present, and commit to honoring their legacy of service now and for generations to come. You know that GoldFish Report is a big supporter of the military and, our Constitution. So you would absolutely make sure that, I absolutely make sure that that gets read in its entirety. This is an emergency declaration for Connecticut from Tropical Storm Isaias. Sorry, I'm so mad at that storm. So let's keep going. Statement from National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien regarding Libya. So when this happened, the United States is deeply troubled by the escalating conflict in Libya. We strongly oppose foreign military involvement, including the use of mercenaries and private military contractors by all sides. The ongoing efforts of foreign powers to exploit the conflict for example, by establishing an enduring military presence or exerting control over resources that belong to the Libyan people, pose grave threats to regional stability and global commerce. Furthermore, these efforts undermine the collective security interests of the United States and our allies. So come and take a look at this. There's a little bit more about it. We're going to keep moving along. The 1600 Daily, we talked about this a little bit already. Yes. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to go past the transcripts. Yeah. And yeah. Okay. So let me just check in before we go to the next round of yeah. Okay, we're going to actually start with photos of the day. I'm sorry, photos of the week, because it's in this order. So on the blog. So President Trump delivers remarks during a news conference at Trump National Golf Club, Bedminster, Friday, August 7th in Bedminster, New Jersey. So this is an interesting photo there. And here's another photo of the president arriving at the press conference. Here's the president at the Whirlpool factory where he made that, famous comment about this may be the last time you see me for a while. So we think the president is being secure. He is secure. He's keeping a low profile because I think there's some major things going on that they can't talk about. Q hasn't actually posted anything new either, but here you have all of the more photos of this with the people, the employees there, social distancing. We have, oh man, look at that washing machine. Is that a washing machine? The president signed the washing machine. How cool is that? I guess that's going to go in the factory office, the president's office, right? Of the president of Whirlpool's office. That's cool. Here's the president taking a tour of the facility where they make washing machines, front loaders. Used to have one. Okay, and this is about making sure that we build in America and we don't import cheap pieces of junk from China and outsource jobs there when we need them here. So let China make China's washing machines and we'll make our own so that we're never completely dependent on other countries, especially China, communist China, for any necessary supplies that we need. There's no reason why we can't manufacture them here, as the president has said. And here's the president. He's on his way. He's greeting supporters after arriving, or actually before boarding Air Force One. There he is. And there he is going back to, he's actually boarding Marine One. And here we have, this is Vice President and his daughter Charlotte talk to mothers and clinic employees at a Women's Place medical clinic. So that's interesting. Mike Pence and his daughter. Interesting. Women's Place. So it's about women's health, I suppose. So, yeah. Here's the president answering those questions at the press conference. And here's the president meeting with, who is this here? This is the Arizona governor, Doug Ducey, which we showed earlier, and more press pictures. So these are always wonderful pictures. We have President Trump looks on as Vice President Pence swears in United States Air Force General Charles Q. Brown Jr. as the new Chief of Staff for the United States Air Force. Interesting. Interesting. There's another photo of that. Ooh, interdasting. Very interesting there. As the Anons say, interdasting. And then here is President advisor to the president, Ivanka Trump, joined by United States Attorney General William Barr and guests, participate in a meeting on human trafficking Tuesday, August 4th in the Eisenhower Executive Office building of the White House. So here you have it, more on human trafficking and Attorney General Barr. And don't underestimate what this means, folks. Don't underestimate for a minute. This is big deal. You know that this was one of the top priorities of the Trump administration, was ending human trafficking. And then here you have more photos of the president regarding the Great American Outdoors Act. And you have representatives there from the National Park Service. So it's very lovely. So come and check this out. Take a look at this. We have more conference room, coronavirus task force meeting, and very interesting. Okay, there's more of these photos. So we're going to just keep going. Here we have, again, now today we had the president's news conference. The 4 main points that that were addressed in the executive order had to do with, which I'll screen share in just a minute anyway. But in case you missed the president's press conference, the main points today were about a payroll tax holiday. So this executive order from today is pertaining to a payroll tax holiday for people making less than $100,000 a year. This defers employee portion of the payroll taxes, and the president has said which he plans on eliminating eventually. We'll see where that goes. The second point of the executive order is addressing HHS, Health and Human Services, and CDC. Renters and homeowners can stay in homes, protecting people from eviction. So this is the second important point of this. Our second and important point from the executive order today. The HUD also providing rental assistance. I didn't get the specifics on that, but it does protect people from the eviction, and I think that there is going to be some other assistance. Well, there is another point. There's 2 other issues that this executive order actually addresses, and one is the unemployment under the CARES Act. This will extend unemployment benefits, like additional unemployment benefits, not in place of what you're already getting. If you're on unemployment due to COVID or whatever, you'll receive an additional $400 a week in addition to already receiving benefits. So these are expanded benefits, not the $600 that they were initially getting, because if you're unemployed, you're employable, so you need to get out and find work. This is going to be paid for 25% by the cost of the state, which they've already received COVID relief funds, so they have the money for that, and 75% paid for by the government. Okay, and the fourth issue that was addressed by this executive order today that the president announced at his news conference is student loan relief. He says student loan rates were already reduced to 0%. They were all, so I would say that was what, in the past few months. So in addition to that, he suspended student loan payments through the end of this year, and he says maybe he'll expand that further once the new year comes along. He's also talking about income tax relief. This is really what's important to him, middle income people. He says it's who are disproportionately taxed. Even as a Republican, he stated that he felt that there was a disproportionate burden on the middle class. The capital gains tax cuts is also a subject that he was also going to be looking into and wanting to address that as well. So that's what came out of this press conference today from the president. And let me just look really quick to see. These are all issues that have been addressed. They're posted on I'll just share this so you can see it. These are all the memorandum that's included in the executive order here. So this is regarding student loan repayment relief. During the pandemic. Also, we're also looking at deferring payroll tax obligations in light of the ongoing COVID disaster, which I just reported. And in addition, there is also memorandum on authorizing the Other Needs Assistance Program for major disaster declarations related to coronavirus disease. So this the Stafford Act, disaster release in light of proclamation declaring a national emergency concerning the novel coronavirus disease, which declared a national emergency by reason of, yes, we know that. Oh, sorry, I thought I said something else. Whatever other expenses that may arise from this. We also have a bill announcement. We have the Veterans Treatment Court Coordination Act of 2019, which requires the Department of Justice, in coordination with the Department of Veterans Affairs, to establish a Veterans Treatment Court program. So what this is referring to is what the president wants to address is for veterans who commit crimes, who are they're non-violent crimes, right? That they receive treatment rather than prison. So that's what this is about for HR 886. Also, the Ryan Kuehls and Paul Bene Special Adaptive Housing Improvement Act, which amends the various VA authorities related to the specifically adapted housing, education, benefit work study, and home loan programs, and Department of Veterans Affairs Contracting Preference Consistency Act of 2020, which provides for an exception to certain VA small business contracting requirements. Okay, let's see. Okay. The U.S. economy adds 1.9 million jobs in July. Unemployment rate falls to 10.2%, according to Breitbart. The U.S. economy added 1.8 million jobs in July, and the unemployment rate fell to 10.2%, providing reassurance that the labor market has kept up some of its post-lockdown momentum. The economy has added around 9.1 million jobs in the past 3 months, beating economists' predictions 3 months in a row, John Carney reports. Reuters reporting Trump signs executive order to boost U.S. drug manufacturing, and he certainly did. President Donald Trump on Thursday signed an executive order aimed at boosting U.S. production of medicines and medical equipment, lowering drug prices, and protecting the United States against shortfalls in a future pandemic. We cannot rely on China and other nations across the globe that could one day deny us products in a time of need. Exactly. We have to be smart. We have to reject globalism and embrace patriotism. So this was where the president was speaking in that speech, where he was talking about that he made a lot of enemies because he is cutting out that middleman and lowering drug prices so that important life-saving medicines are financially available to people, accessible to people. The New York Times reports abolish the police. Who can survive the chaos in Seattle? Aren't we so sure? Those who survived the chaos in Seattle aren't so sure. The employees of Bergman's Lock and Key say they were followed by demonstrators with baseball bats. Cure Cocktail, a local bar and caricature, said its workers were asked by protesters to pledge loyalty to the movement. The experience of the small business owners seemed a universe away from the rhetoric of Seattle's politicians, Nellie Bowles writes. Ivanka Trump announces goal of $6 billion in capital for women-owned business initiatives. According to the Daily Caller, Ivanka Trump announced the White House's Women's Global Development and Prosperity Initiative's new goal of $6 billion in capital for women-owned businesses. Katie Jerkovich reports. The Trump administration is committed to ensuring that women have an equal opportunity to participate in the economy at home and around the world. Hold on a second. And the Wall Street Journal reports. The White House seeks crackdown on U.S. listed Chinese firms. Interesting. hold on one second. Chinese companies with shares traded on U.S. stock exchanges would be forced to give up their listings unless they comply with U.S. audit requirements under a plan recommended Thursday by the Trump administration, Dave Michaels writes. It is it's the latest step in the administration's policy of getting tough with China. For years, Washington let unfair trade destroy U.S. jobs. Let's see if this is a clip that we can play regarding the president. Yes. So let's make sure we screen share the audio on this and listen to what the president has to say here.
Washington stood idly by as other countries engaged in unfair trade practices, such as massive subsidies, currency manipulation, and, in the case of your industry and your company, the wholesale dumping of foreign-made products sold below cost for the sole purpose of driving you out of business so they could give us product at double, triple, and quadruple the price. But we didn't let that happen, did we?
Okay, so that's the president, and that's really, he's been very consistent with this from the beginning of his administration, talking about the unfair tariffs and, of course, the unfair global trade practices that he inherited from previous administrations. So, so that's a very interesting, but it definitely very expected. Let me just see if I have all the other stories covered for this week. We did the photos of the week. I believe we did. Did we? Yeah. Yep. I think we've got it covered, folks. Oh, no. Yes. There's also a bill announcement, which I think yes, I read that. So I think we're all set, everybody. How's everybody doing in the live chat? I want to appreciate, if you guys like the video, if you like the reporting, please give us a thumbs up. And, you know, if you can, and you like the reports on a weekly basis, consider being a Patreon and making a monthly commitment to help the reports keep going. We also, you can also go to our website. There's also a PayPal button there, which does help to keep the reports going. It keeps me showing up every Saturday night, folks. For 183 weeks, I've never missed one POTUS report, and there's no time to miss one now. We are running up. I think we have 87 days left to the election, folks. 87 days left. So that means this is all going to be over. The Democrats aren't even going to care about anything because it's just going to be over. And then, of course, the president's going to be a lame duck. But this is serious. You know, this is serious. We want to make sure that the president finishes the job he started. He promised to drain the swamp. It's our time to hold him accountable. That's why we do the POTUS reports. Hi, Dr. Arden. Nice to see you. Nice, Jake. Everybody who's in there, it's good to see you. I haven't seen some of you in a while. But yeah, we started the POTUS reports to hold Donald Trump's feet to the fire and make sure he was going to drain the swamp. And well, the funny thing is that he ran on that. And what he hasn't done is he may have been able to make deals, which he's done, and he may have been able to, when draining a tub, you get a whirlpool. Thanks, Roll. That sounds funny. Exactly. It's kind of about the same thing, isn't it? This is what he's been doing, is draining the swamp, but we haven't seen that publicly yet. So now this is what I think the president needs to outline what he's going to do for the next 4 years. And he's going to continue to drain the swamp. What is he going to do? So thank you, Slim. I appreciate, yes, give us a thumbs up. It helps to circulate the video. It helps us to come up in your recommended news, your recommended videos. So definitely do that. I do appreciate that, Slim. Thanks a lot. Yep. And so everybody, it's time. It's that time. We have, following this report tonight, we do have a special with Reba Sherrill, who is running for the 21st Congressional District of Florida, who is an amazing woman. And I think you all need to stand by on Ascension Radio and listen to this interview because, like I said, if you want to change things in Congress, you do it by your vote. So here we go. If you haven't registered to vote You should. You should, because the votes will count. If it's a mail-in, if it's a mail-in election, you can forget about it. There's no way, to be honest. Postal system can't even handle. They could never handle that. I just don't think it's gonna. I don't think that's going to be realistic to think that we're going to have an all mail-in presidential election. Just sounds ridiculous. So everybody, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. Never back down. I agree with you, Slim. Never back down. And thanks to all of our viewers and everybody in the live chat and all the listeners on Ascension Radio. Thanks for being with us. So Ascension Radio, stay tuned, listeners, because there's going to be another report following this one. And for all of our viewers on YouTube, thanks for joining us. And we will be back on Monday with another political theater. I may be doing some other reports. I would like to have Reba Sherrill come back on the GoldFish Report. We'll see what happens. The election in Florida is not until the 18th. If you are in Florida, vote for Reba. And I've never done this on GoldFish Report before, but I think she's an amazing woman, and God bless her. She's got the energy to deal with Washington. So, and I just think that I really questioned her on every issue, and I think she did a good job. And I actually think I'd be a very, very good moderator at a presidential debate. Maybe they should select a social media person to do the moderation. I think I would be a perfect moderator. But I'll keep my fire sign. I'll keep my fire energy tamed. Thanks, everybody. You have a great night. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you viewing. And this concludes this edition of the GoldFish Report.